Kalage Sundarakaram Sadaika Priyadarshanam Ajnana Nashakam Devam Sadgurum Muralidharam. With the immense blessings of our beloved Guru Maharaj Maharanyam Sri Sri Muralidhara Swamiji, and by the causeless mercy of Sri Madhuri Sakhi Sameta Premikavarda Thakurji, we are exploring Kali Dharma Undiyar, a wonderful work blessed by our beloved Guru Maharaj to tell us and to show us extensively why all these Mahatmas in Kali Yuga have been showing, stressing and following this path of Nama Sankirtana, which is Kalikalochitam Dharmam Nama Sankirtanatmakam. The Uchita Dharmam, the apt Dharmam, the most fit Dharma for anybody in this world, especially during this age of Kali Yuga, is the path of Nama Sankirtan. Most of the Mahatmas, all Acharya Purushas, all Mahatmas have shown this path of Nama Sankirtan. But why? And the answer, why should I follow Nama Sankirtan? That answer is answered, the question is answered in 30 verses. Starting with the goal. The goal and the purpose of our existence and who can lead us to the goal. The three are all Bhagavan Sri Krishna only. The one who creates, sustains and destroys or dissolves this universe and again creates, sustains and dissolves. Muttojil Purindum. If you do it once, it is not called Tojil. Occupation means that which you keep doing day in and day out. If it is a one-time work, it is not called Tojil. What is your occupation? I just did the one time I sang, that's all. Then it is not an occupation, it is not a Tojil. Occupation means that which we do day in and day out. And Bhagavan does not create and sustain and that's it, one cycle and it's over. Then it won't be Tojil. It won't be an occupation for Bhagavan. In fact, Bhagavan does that repeatedly. That's why Swamiji very beautifully put the word Tojil. That Bhagavan ki de Tojil solluvan liya. The work for Bhagavan which is repeatedly done by Bhagavan is creation, sustenance and dissolution of this universe. In spite of him doing it, he is not attached to its fruit. He is not attached to the work. He does not become any way different or is not affected by it. So in effect, he has not done it. Though he did it, he has not done it. How does he create? Vishwam Manasa, he said, that the whole Vishwam, by his sankalpam, just by his power of intention, he creates this whole universe. He sustains it, he dissolves it. How? Puriyadirikum. That's something which we can't understand. And Bhagavan, even though he does all these three, is also Puriyadu Irukkum. He is constantly in the state of Iruppu, which is constantly in the state of unaffected by work. Constantly in the state of Sakshi Matramavum. He is also in the state of Irukkum. If you separate Puriyadu, Purindum, Puriyadu, Irukkum. That in spite of Bhagavan doing all this work, Namo Namaste Akhila Karanaya, Nishkaranaya, Adbhuta Karanaya, Sarva Gamamnaya, Maharnavaya, Namo Apavargaya Parayanaya. Bhagavan not only creates and not only is apart from this universe, he is also in the state of Astityeva Upalabde, which is there in Upanishads that he exists. That's it. Is also in that state called Swarupa. So Puriyadi Irukkum. And he is Mudalva, Sarva Karanam. And only he can show us the path of Moksham. So Puriyadi Irukkum, Mudalva. What do we do? Sharanam. Surrender to him. Why is Sarva Sharanya? And what we pray to Bhagavan, somehow free us from the clutches of samsara. Take us into your feet. And that is the first goal. And then our Swamiji starts to explain the dharma. And the dharma is, first we have to accept that the philosophy which we follow is the philosophy that the world is created by Bhagavan, sustained by Bhagavan, dissolved by Bhagavan. It is not nature alone which does it. And we have to be clear from our mind that it is not atheism which is the right path. So the first stanza is clarifying as a samvadam we saw yesterday. It is a friendly discussion, not friendly. It can be formal also, but it is a discussion where a person absolutely open with Shraddha and with tremendous interest to know, with tremendous passion to know, rather tremendous thirst to have that knowledge, is approaching a Guru. Guru is speaking, and so it's called Samvadam. And the whole 30 verses is done in the style of Samvadam. So here he's saying, we have come with a background because we have read a lot of things, we have heard a lot of things. So we come with a little bit of a cobweb in our head, and it is up to our Sadgurunath Maharaj to actually clear this up. And so first is clearing some cobwebs which we might have picked up during our time before we approach a Guru, which is thinking that everything is nature, everything happened as per an accident of nature, or the nature itself is cause for everything, etc. And Swamiji clearly yesterday we saw it. Virodamam Aimboodangal. The 5 elements are inimical to each other, adversarial to each other, and hence it cannot work together, it cannot coordinate together to have a productive functioning of the universe outside, productive functioning of the body as a microcosm compared to universe, obviously. And so the naturalism cannot be accepted, it is rejected. That's how you properly do a logic. We say there is, we always take a hypothesis and then we reject the hypothesis. Now, that's how logic works even in Sanatana Dharma. So let us take the hypothesis that nature is cause of everything. We consider it. We don't call it blasphemy and all that. We call it Purva Paksham. You bring a proposition, we will observe it and then we'll discard it. We won't use only direct perception and intellect, which is Anumana, which is inference logic alone. We won't use only inductive logic and deductive logic and also direct perception. We shall also use Shastras to reject your proposition. So here it said that your proposition of naturalism is rejected. That's how any logic has to work, syllogism. And your atheism, that there is nothing called God, there is nothing beyond what I see, beyond these 2 pramana, there cannot be a third pramana. Beyond me seeing, beyond me thinking, there cannot be a third source of knowledge for me, is also rejected. Why? Because the 5 elements are in order. There is a clear limit demarking these 2. When there is a limit, and nature does not know limit. For example, if I have a bottle of water, it is a person who created a limit in form of a bottle out here to make sure water does not flow wherever it wants to. Suppose I break the bottle, water does not stay in the same place. It slowly flows out, isn't it? Because nature means as much, randomness possible is what the nature of nature is. But then when things are pretty much in limits, we can't call it natural. We may have to say that there is a conscious entity which has put limits to all these 5 elements. And so they don't actually adversarially work with each other, work against each other. In fact, they work with each other, which clearly shows that there is an orderliness, there is a repeatability in the universe, there is a system in this universe. Hence, Bhagavan Irkampa as a Samvada. And then the next one, from outside universe, and so I infer Bhagavan, is a first level. But the real deeper way to understand Bhagavan is, who is seeing this universe? First thing is, who is creating the universe? Yena Yasmat. So, who is creating this universe? We say there is order, etc. If there is a lovely little painting which has beautiful aesthetic appeal there, and it has a meaning in the painting, and the colors are very beautifully done properly, and you can see an orderliness in the painting. You can't say randomly something splashed on it and so that's why it happened. So we understand there has to be a painter for us to have such a lovely thing. Likewise, then we go inwards. Andavan illamal aharam kidaikalam. Many people argue saying God, God, etc. won't feed us. For that, our Swamiji said, Bhagavan, without Bhagavan, let us even assume you get the food. But for the food to be digested, don't you need Atma inside? Don't you need kaDavuL inside? Don't you need Bhagavan inside, Antaryami inside? If that Antaryami leaves out, if the body is merely a body without that soul, which is consciousness, which is Bhagavan inside, then even the food cannot be swallowed, you see. And so when the food is digested inside, Bhagavan as Vaishvanara is present inside as our Antaryami. He digests the food and gives us energy. And he has put a system saying so much time, depending on so much karma, this is the life you have to lead. And depending on that limit, because we ourselves are not independent. Na? We are also dependent. We are not free in the sense, even if I want to live for 200 years, I can't. When the time comes, I have to leave. And even if I have to leave early, if I want to also, until the time comes, I can't leave this body. So Bhagavan has put limits even for Jiva. Bhagavan has put limits for Prakriti, which is nature. So there are only three things in a religion: nature or the universe and its cause, the individual soul, and the Paramatma or Bhagavan. Bhagavan clearly has put a limit to us. So we can't say, I created this universe, you see, because there is a limitation for me also. The place where I was born, I didn't decide. It was decided for me by something. It's not an accident. Bhagavan has instituted a system of karma, kalam, depending on my past actions and depending on the flow of time. Bhagavan has put a system. At this point of time, you have to live. You have to be born. And this is where you have to be born. And these are the ones which you may possibly get. And depending on the efforts we take in this Janma, we may influence a little bit on this Janma within a little limits only. Beyond that, we don't have independence. And then at the time comes, at the right time, when the body has to fall, it has to fall. Allah, system. And so Bhagavan says, even if you assume that I got the food without God, for the food to be digested, we need God inside as Antaryami. And he says, Andavan Venduma. It has to be there. Otherwise, how will you digest? And we saw these two yesterday. And then these two show that the cause of Bhagavan as Yata Yetat Chidatmakam, as the conscious principle running the world is also that Bhagavan. And the same Bhagavan is in form of the conscious principle in me as Antaryami to run this mechanism called body also. So that is called Brahmam, Janmadhyasya Yataha Brahmam. That which creates, sustains and dissolves this universe, it's called Brahmam. Ade Brahmam da is also inside in form of Paramatma, the one who actually runs my body. And these two are very subtle, na? But if you want to see Bhagavan, na, third is Bhagavan. kaDavuLai kaanalam, na, if that same thing takes a Nama and Rupa, it's called Bhagavan. Very beautifully, our Swamiji, when he started with Janmadhyasya Yataha, a Bhagavata sloka in form of the one who does the three jobs of creation, sustenance and dissolution, let us go and surrender to him so that he may actually bless us with moksham. He is now showing the essence of Bhagavatam in the first three slokas. When you say Satyam Param Dhimahi, which is Mudalva, Mudalvana innarthona Param. You see, Adevat, Param. And Param na Parameshwaran. Which Parameshwaran? The one who is the Brahmam, which is the actual cause of this universe. And the second sloka, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, the one who is sitting in our heart and ensuring all processes, Upalakshanam. For example, digestion also he does. Our Swamiji could have very well said even breathing is because of Bhagavan inside only. Upalakshanam. Why he has taken digestion, I will come to that. There is a reason for that. The most common reason which people will say is because the Nastika says, Andavanna will soru kadakimada. Dinkepa. They will ask you, keep saying God, God, God. Would you get food just by saying God, God? So that for that, he answers that question. Use this as an example for every body function, including breathing. And, being in this body, everything is because of Antaryami called Paramatma. Yogis actually control their mind and do this dhyana by yoga to find that Paramatma in Samadhi. First sloka talks about Brahmeti. The second sloka talks about Paramatmeti. The third sloka is, without the physical eye, can we see God? Abdina seen vandurthnale, that realization nale, Rupam, Namam, which is what is called Bhagavan. If we want to actually see God, if you want to realize God, na sagunatha pudichada undu. And so here he is saying, Unakan illamal kaDavuLai kaanalam kanavu kanbadarkendru undIpaRa Unakan vendumo undIpaRa. For us to realize that lovely God who has taken a name, who has taken a form, the same Bhagavan Sri Krishna who is infinite, the same Bhagavan Sri Krishna who is ever prevalent, the same Bhagavan Sri Krishna who is the cause of this universe, first slokam, who is also your Antaryami, making us work in this body, or body works because of Antaryami. So second is Paramatma. Third, If you want to see him, you can see him. How can you see him? That's what he's going to say. That it is possible, namame gatiyam. If you keep chanting the divine name of Krishna, since the name and named are inseparable, if you hold on to the divine name, which is the conclusion he is going to give. He has said, Kanalam. Abdina eppadi? Last sloka. You say you can see, it is not just a possibility. We can actually go and see Bhagavan. He has written in many books, our Swamiji. Harinamam solli kondirukkum un munnal oru naal Hali vandu nirpan. The one who is chanting Harinama constantly, Hari will come before you for sure. He has written in many people. So how can we see Hari? You don't need to see him with your physical eye, and you can actually do what is called as Bhagavat Sakshatkara will happen to you. How? By constant chanting of the divine name, which is going to be answered in the 30th verse. So wherever our Swamiji has left an open end, it is all tied up in the last verse. You see? So here he is saying, Unakkan illamal kaDavuLai kaanalam. Without a physical eye, we can actually realize and see, in the sense, see Bhagavan. Why? What does the see mean? Normally, when you say see, we only use the word see as something which is physically perceived by our eyes only. But thankfully, apart from just sleeping and waking, Bhagavan has given us a very interesting experience. If not for dreams, we can't even imagine how things which are not physical can be perceived. You see, when I am in the dream, I actually see a lot of very pakka things in my dream. I don't even suspect that these are all false. So in my dream, only my mind is working. But I have a desk like this. It's very solid. In the dream, I knock it, it will give the sound. And I see somebody whom I have not seen for 10 years. Suddenly that person comes and sees. I am not saying this is my dream, me talking to the dream, himla. It's all very, 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 very concrete, if you can understand what I'm saying. When that person whom I met after a long time shakes my hand, the hands are real for me in my dream. You see, Bhagavan has given us this dream experience to show the possibility of, just like how when you dream everything looks real, when you wake up suddenly you realize it was that one agent called mind who conjured up all these things. Bhagavan is saying, I have made you as a pratibimbam, as my image only like this. So when you can be a Srishtikarta of your dream, where you have created a beach, you created a sand, you created all those people there in the dream. Who created? I created. And I am talking to them, I am enjoying with them. The joy in the dream is created by me. All the people living, unliving. You see, there is a person walking on the road. That Jadam road is also created by me. And the Chaitanyam, that living person is also created. Now, dream la Brahma Mari, I have created a big universe myself. But Brahma Madri, I don't have independence to create. I can't just say today night I should have a dream where I should have all. Though Bhagavan creates through us like Brahma, we can't independently create anything, because whatever we dream is merely a latent residue of some unfulfilled desires or some vasanas here and there. So though in dream we create, that is not independent creation. Bhagavan makes us create only with little blocks which he has already arranged for us. So we don't have independence. There was once a person who had this repeated nightmare of a tiger chasing him. And he tried his level best. Tiger bomb kuda potu paatha. But the tiger kept on chasing him. Then finally he went to a Mahatma and he said, I need a solution, Mahatma. I'm tired of this dream. Daily the same tiger. Or macham kuda irukku. There's a small mole in the cheek. Adhe tiger. And it was the kamchi thorathar. Adhe alda nodamaten. And that person went and cried to Mahatma. The Mahatma felt very compassionate. Don't worry. Then he gave some vibhuti. They had to go, before sleeping, you apply it and sleep. And now home. You won't have any duswapanam at all. Then that person felt ibdina. Yanenda, Swami, give me a kumkumam in such a way that I chase the tiger tomorrow. நடக்குமா இதெல்லாம்? துஸ்வப்ன நாசானாய நமஹனா சுஸ்வப்ன பிரவர்த்தகாய நமஹ கிடையாது. You see, we have no independence in our dreams. You agree, right? Some of you, I'm sure, would have had this desire. So here in the dream, we don't have. Bhagavan has given us a wonderful, he's showing it. And the dream can make us open our mind to a lot of possibilities which otherwise we can't even imagine. Suppose I say there is a higher state of awakening where instead of the mind playing all the tricks, it is the consciousness or Krishna which will be the only one which you will perceive. I can't imagine. But then if a Mahatma says, hey, in the dream, you are all alone, isn't it? And in spite of you being the dream, be with me, because it's a Bhagavatam example our Swamiji explained. In my dream, what all I see is incredible. First thing I see is, were you in the dream? The answer is yeah. Did you see yourself in the dream? Yes, I saw myself in the dream. How can you see yourself in the dream? And yes, something wrong. Yeah. Yet we don't feel anything is wrong there. I see myself in my dream. And see this, this is the beauty. In my dream, the road is made by me, the other person is made by me, everything is made by this mind, but not independently. Iswaranda is working through my mind. And there are 4 friends in my dream, you see. And then I look at the first friend and said, yesterday, my goodness, the song which you sang was exemplary. In the dream, I actually go into the heart of that first friend and feel his joy. You see, you know that friend is very happy. How do you know? You only felt the joy of that friend also. And you are the one giving that joy to that friend. Then the second person, you said, yesterday, my goodness, I didn't know whether you were singing or donkey was braying. And then the second friend became very upset. How do you know he's upset? You went into his heart and you are experiencing his upsetness. And you are also feeling a little threatened because he is upset. You see? And finally, you go to the third and the fourth people. Yesterday you didn't sing. Why don't you sing today? They are very enthusiastic and you are giving a chance. So there are varieties of emotions. And I imagined separate entities of those emotions. And it is me who is going through all these emotions and enjoying all this. Yet, I am away from all that. When I wake up, I realize, I was not that friend. I was not that disappointment. I was not that sadness. I was not that joy. I was not that exuberation. Everything I realize. Our Swamiji said, Ipaditam Bhagavano, he is sitting in the hearts of everybody and he is actually in a sense enjoying every emotion, every thought, everything which has happened to everybody. And in that state of realization, we realize it was only one Bhagavan doing all this. Sarvatragam achintyancha purindum puriyadir. He is the one who is everywhere. He is the one who makes us talk. He is the one who makes somebody listen. Our common platform. Idu dhan jnanam. You see? And idu therinjikradhukku how can you reach back? You see? So here he is saying, thankfully Bhagavan has blessed us with an experience called dream, which is puzzling. And we should think about it. You see, generally when people say theory of everything, and if they are talking only about their waking state, it's not everything, they are missing something. Theory of everything is complete only when you take 3 states of the observer himself. Forget observation. Theory of everything has everything to do with the observer. You see, when the observer is in the waking state, dreaming state, and in the deep sleep state, first to figure out that everything. And then you will have the answer for that everything also. Consciousness, that one theory of everything. And so here, very beautifully, our Swamiji says, he is picking that point, which is making us, yes, it's possible for me to see Bhagavan. How can I see Bhagavan? Not with the eyes, because when I dream, I can't see it with eyes, right? I see it with my mind. And a very simple corollary to that, which Bhagavan, our Swamiji said, Unakan illamal kaDavuLai kaanalam. Kaanalam means it is possible. So it's called Sambhavana Buddhi. He's saying you can listen. You can see. How? For example, without the physical eye, don't you dream? Kanavu kanbadar enDrAr undIpaRa Do you need the physical eye for you to dream? Likewise, for us to experience or realize Bhagavan, Sagunam, Aragana Rupam, Aragana Namam, if you want to actually do the Saguna Sakshatkara, you don't need the mind, just like how the mind is enough and you don't need a physical eye for dreams. Go one step deeper. The first dhyana which we do of our lovely Vasudeva in our heart, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, wonderful lotus-like eyes and with a small lovely nose, red lips, etc. It's all mind only. Nobody denies that. Dhyana is mind. But as we do this, because of Bhagavad Kripa, our mental image dissolves and the actual Sakshatkara happens, which is not of the mind. It is not a projection of mind. It is the actual consciousness taking the lovely form of Krishna and name of Krishna to give us Sakshatkara. Then who is seeing? Who is being seen? If you understand intuitively the dream state where you yourself saw, you yourself, it is your mind which saw, which is your mind which heard, it is your mind which made another person upset. Aduma mind da. One agency called that mind pervaded into my entire dreamscape and created all these scenes. In spite of that mind being one, I am getting varieties of emotions there. Na? Likewise, in spite of consciousness being one, in that Sakshatkara, or Darshana Yerpada, Epdine, it's consciousness enjoying the mega consciousness through the agency of consciousness. Hey, dream la, your mind talk to your mind through your mind only, na? Right or wrong? Please think about it, because it's romba alagana verse. Swamiji is telling something very, very simple, yet very profound if you don't get it. Because without this, நம்ம பூஜை பண்ணி எப்பவான ஒரு வாட்டி கிருஷ்ணா எனக்கு தர்சனம் தரலாகாதோ, how can it be 100% if you are not convinced darishanam is possible? அதுக்கு தான் yes written, காணலாம். First have faith. Our Ramana Maharshi used to say, what is the number one enemy of realizations? Sandegame periya tadayam. That doubt. Doubt na not Krishna is there or not. That doubt is already clarified in the first two. Ennala paaka mudiyuma? Eppadi paakuradhu? How do I see it? Can I see Krishna? Is the doubt. First doubt is already taken care, because sambhashana, samvadam dane. So we are clear Krishna irkan. Krishna is the cause of the universe, not something above me. Something above me is the white ceiling. Avladha. You don't say something and all. Krishna na. It is Radha Krishna Yugalam which is creating the world. Adalla I am convinced. I am convinced. But then how will I see him? Na? Our Swamiji is saying it's possible. How? It is possible because when in your dream you don't need your physical eye to see. Like that, in that state of Sakshatkara, you don't need even the mind for that realization. It is done in a very higher level. We are used to only 3 states of existence, which is called I am awake, or I am asleep, or I am dreaming. There is a 4th state possible in Bhakti, or in Jnana Vichara, or in Yoga. The 4th state is called Turiyam. And Mahatmas say, even if you are not always in that state, we can slip into the state for a few seconds at least. Adam Bhava Samadhi. If you are constantly holding on to the divine name, by Guru Krupa, even that can happen. And in that state, you are very clear. Oh, ippadithana. A person who has never dreamt. A person has never dreamt. How will you explain dreams to that person? You tell me. How will you explain it? Yesterday I dreamt of you. No, I was there in my room. No, when I was sleeping. How can you dream of me when you are sleeping? You won't understand. And I came home in my dreams. I came to your home. But you were sleeping only in the bedroom. It was locked. How did you come home? And a dream he has never even, he can't even imagine it because he has not experienced it, you see. And that is the reason why our Tulsidas Goswami says, I have so much to tell you, but how will I tell you? So hai akat kahani. All the stories of my relishing Ramachandra Prabhu are millions. But sonnalum ungalukku puriyade. How will I tell you? And our Andal says, like a dumb person trying to convince a deaf person by verbal method. என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? ஏன்னா கண்ட காட்சியை என்னால சொல்லவும் முடியாது, அப்படி சொன்னாலும் உனக்கு புரியாது. So ரெண்டு problem. You see, first of all, I can't even explain what dream is to a person who has never dreamt. Even if I explain, will you understand? அந்த மாதிரி 4th state. And since there is a dream state, our Swamiji says, just like how you are in intermediate dream state, which is fantastic, which is incredible experience if you think about it. Forget, let it be even nightmare. But is it not an incredible experience where things appear perfectly real? I actually sweat when that mole tiger came and tried to catch me. It's so real. Yet when I wake up, everything vanishes. Hosura motida, partnerable. Appo, ipdidan jnanis are also Vasudeva Sarvamiti. They are constantly in that vision of Krishna. Anta Ramamayam, Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagatna, ipdidan irukuna. At least now we have, it's possible. Even when Nastikas shout outside, now I am convinced it's possible. These people have not put their thought deep enough. But it is possible. Sambhavanam. It is Sambhavana Buddhi. It is possible. Sambhavikum. It is possible is what he is showing here. The kaDavuLamdra Varthaile, it's called Sambhavana. All Bhashyakaras have done this. Even in Brahma Sutra Bhashyam, Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada, before he is telling something which is so abstruse, he is trying to convince us, saying it is possible. And he gives some examples and said, does that paradigm not shift like that when you do this? Like that, that paradigm will shift here also. And he's just trying to convince us it is possible. Why? Because we have never experienced that in millions of our past lives. If we have experienced, we won't be here, you see. And so we need a little, opening to convince us, Bhagavan Rakha, I can see him. And that's why Swamiji very beautifully says, it's possible, be with me, finish off the 30 verses, be convinced Nama is the way, don't let go of Nama, Haranaliya. Possible, kaDavuLam. It's possible for us to see. And then is the fourth verse, where our Swamiji is what is called as argument from morality. There is an argument which is 500, 600 years old in the Western states, where they argue through the path of morality that the Bhagavan had to exist. And he is speaking, he is the one who linking virtues with happiness. Everybody intuitively knows that if you are virtuous, if you are moral, then it leads to happiness. Otherwise, morality makes no sense. These are deep inside, we know the connection between virtues and happiness. This is as old as the Greek civilization. In the West, in India, we always knew, maybe 10,000, 20,000 years, I don't know. But in the West also, this connection was there. And the connection is, if I am virtuous, I am happy. So I shall strive to be virtuous. Even if the current situation demands vice, I shall actually choose virtue. Pavam pandrattukku idu tundina kuda, deep inside I have a very clear intuition that if I make papam, I have to face the consequence. So the Western philosophers, I'm talking Western philosophy. Western philosophers are saying, if there is a connection between virtues and happiness, who creates that connection? Because virtues themselves cannot give happiness. Virtues are dead. There has to be a system to connect virtues with happiness. And so they proposed. Of course, there is ups and downs in this, including a German philosopher called Kant. He actually said that there has to be an agency, conscious agency called God, to connect these virtues with happiness, morality. Morality, if morality leads to peace and happiness, there has to be a conscious entity to connect these two. Allah logic. Of course, there are a lot of arguments against, for, etc., because Bhagavan can't be ascertained by the intellect, but this can be our trigger for us to accept the fact that Bhagavan talks to us. All we need to do is see and talk. So our Swamiji said, seeing is possible, talking is already happening to you. You see, Bhagavan is constantly talking to you. kaDavuL pEsavillai enDrAr. See the words used. Who is saying that Bhagavan is not talking? manasATchi, the voice of conscience. The voice of conscience is kaDavuLin kuralam. And the way in which he has used these wonderful words, first, virodamam aimboodangal, where he doesn't bring any word about God at all. Because it's clearly a vadam, a vidandanukku vidandannam maniyagano. To show you are wrong, that's all. What is right, adala appuram Satsangathil, I'll tell you. You are wrong. is Vidanda. We need that for people who are very adamant and or ruffians klan vadam pannakoodadhu. Vidanda na tappada pada avladha. So the first verse was clearly rejection. Finish. What? Naturalism rejected, atheism rejected. Chup ho gaya na? Okay, good. Now he's looking at them and saying, using the word Andavan. Andavan means Antaryami, one who controls. Yata yeta chidatmakam nu solromla, adha Andavan. The one who rules over your body, he rules over this body just by being with you. He does not do anything. He is not a ruler who will say, do this, do that. But without him, nothing works. Adu oru alagana example. Our Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada gives a lovely example. He's saying, it seems those days, the kings would always ensure that the food which they are served, the cuisine, royal cuisine, is not poison. And for that, you can feed it to somebody. The cook, you see, the Raja should not take the leftover of a cook's food. So Raja has, it seems, an interesting pakshi. He has an interesting bird. Now it is extinct. That pakshi has the capability that when you keep that bird in a cage in the dining table and allow this bird to see all the food, this bird has this capability to make its eyes reddened if there is any poison in any food. And the bird, you see. If that poison food is there, the eye starts getting irritated. Adukku or poison allergy nu vechukongala. So whenever you bring a food which has a poison in it, this eyes of this bird, without it knowing at all, becomes red. Sevandruma. So what the Raja does is the Lord of the land. But for him to eat, who decides? The bird comes there. Now the cook is doing his prayer. So he is praying, let this bird be normal. Allergy. And then he is cleaning the table, keeping all the food. The bird is brought in. Now the Raja, before looking at the food, is looking at the eye of the bird. You see, the eye of the bird is clear. Then the Raja decides to eat. Now who is making the decision of making the Raja eat? The bird's eye. But does the bird do anything at all? Its mere presence is enough to do prerana. Keneshitam patati preshitam manahangarthu bhashyam. That without Andavan or Bhagavan in our heart, he actually ordains all the work of the body without speaking a word. He makes us run without moving a step. He makes us do all the work without raising a finger. He makes us think all this thought without thinking a single thought. By his presence, he is making everything happen. Adinala, if he leaves, if that bird dies, our Raja can't eat any food at all. He will be never sure what is good food, what is bad food. So our Bhagavan Antaryami is not inside us, then what happens? Nothing can happen. So here our Swamiji very beautifully says, that who is right inside us as Antaryami, the one who is the witness to the mind, manasATchi na adhartham. Though we say conscience in English, the actual word manasATchi, the one who witnesses the mind, is not only a passive witness, but he has put a system in place so that the mind itself generates a thought of conscience because of that witness there, which clearly tells the mind, don't do this, don't do this. Papam, papa nakaravam, don't do it. Until you become a jnani. And then there is no papa, no punya, says Upanishads. So here, papam. So manasATchi koral unne kekarde. Not here. Again, remember, this is not an audible sound. You see, when I'm about to do a sin, I don't hear a sound outside. Hey, don't do it. No. I hear it from within me. And that is actually right within me, which tells me don't do it. It's a very subtle sound. It's a very subtle voice. And you can choose to ignore it. But Bhagavan does not lose anything by it. We lose because we have to face the consequence. Then don't blame Bhagavan, because Bhagavan has already indicated by morality which is intrinsic in all of us. Even a child knows it should not lie. It need not be doctrined that. Even a child knows that, anger is not good. And so he says that very beautiful, soft voice of conscience, the one who witnesses the mind also, is how Bhagavan speaks. First, learn it first. Observe it first. Don't drown Bhagavan's gentle voice with our loud noise of desire, of ambition, of all those distractions, kama, lobha, mada, moha, matsarya. Those are the noise which drown the voice of Bhagavan inside, which is the voice of conscience. So don't blame Bhagavan, because Bhagavan talks inside. So our Swamiji says, we can see Bhagavan without the physical eye. We can hear Bhagavan without the physical ear. Is unspoken, because he already told, na una kanvenda na una kadunda venda. So he's because he has to be very laconic with the verses, because he has to finish it in one verse. You see, first verse half, then little half. So rendu verse he has to finish. So it will be very laconic, but it will have all the essence. It is like sutram da namak. So here Nama Brahma Sutra is Kali Dharma Sutra. So here, don't say that Bhagavan is not speaking. Bhagavan is constantly speaking to us, but he is speaking in the very gentle and a very slight voice, very subtle voice. Bhagavan does not know to raise his voice. Paroksham mamacha priyam na pesaradu mattum kathi pesvaranu. Some people say Paroksham na, I want to remain hidden, but they will shout from that room. You see, hey, adha panna apdi enna Paroksham. You see. And once Paroksham hidam none prasangat, because too serious appoint heavier. There was a person who came to Ramana Bhagavan, and then he did some annadana to some of the people in the ashram, I guess, or something he did. And then he said, I sponsored annadana today, but please don't tell anybody. Yaarkum theriya venda. Ramana Bhagavan kept quiet. In the afternoon again he came. Afternoon also nanda annadana panna, yaarkum theriya venda. And then he told his manager, the bar in the annadana nanda panne nanda anda hale Parameshwaran nanda, but please don't tell anybody. And then there was the cook who was serving. He said, today I sponsored the food out here, please don't tell anybody. I don't want any name. Ramana Bhagavan sirichinde irundara. Ramana Bhagavan has another side of it which you don't understand by seeing just photos or the our sense of humor beautiful irukum. அவர் எல்லாம் பண்ணி முடிச்ச உடனே smilingly he spoke, it seems. சில பேர் நாம் பண்ணேன்னு பேரு வாங்குவா, இவன் நாம் பண்ணலன்னே பேரை வாங்குறான் பாரு. Many people say I did it and try to seek fame. This person is keeping on repeating, please don't disclose I did it, and is trying to take that name for that. Like that, Paroksham means not only the name and form, the form alone is not hidden inside. Even the voice of Krishna also ரொம்ப slight-ஆ சொல்வார். He gently nudge you. But if you ignore na, to at our loss. So here he is saying, manasATchi kuralE. There is a voice which is heard clearly inside, which says, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And when we have to do the right thing, it's not without knowing we did. Ariyamal pala pizhaigal seidhu vitten. Abdin we wrote na, yada ariyama. I didn't listen to the voice which you are talking. You see, I chose to ignore it. So Swamiji once wrote a small saying that the best way to pray is not to say unknowingly I must have done a lot of mistakes, please forgive me. I don't think it's true. Therinji aayiram thappu panna adukku modala forgiveness kelu. Why are you escaping it? You see? So you say na panna thappalla knowingly I did, please forgive me. And our Swamiji said that don't say Bhagavan does not speak, the gentle voice of conscience. If you silence the mind a bit from all these 6 enemies, kama, krodha, mada, lobha, matsaryam, bhayam, idhilende, when you come out and slowly reduce the noise there, Bhagavan peswa. You see, the voice of Bhagavan can be heard, the voice of conscience. And so he is saying that is the actual words of Bhagavan. So don't say Bhagavan does not speak. Bhagavan exists, abdina. Bhagavan not only exists, Bhagavan can be seen, sagunam, and Bhagavan can be heard. He is speaking all the time to you. So Adhanala Bhagavan Sambhavan, that it is there. It's possible for you to hear and see. It is said, our Swamiji has mentioned in Mahamantra Kirtanam also. Devarum Terivare Devamum Pesuma Ulagam Vanangidum. We can actually see Deva Sancharam. We can actually, now how do we see? With the subtle eye only we can see, not with the physical eye. And Devargale needs subtle eye means Bhagavan Devan needs more subtlest eye, isn't it? And Devam Pesumam, even Bhagavan will start speaking to you if we continue that path of chanting. Okay. And then the fifth sloka is, our Swamiji initially said, Prasangata, I wrote this. Prasangatana enna, you want to tell something very important, even if it is not essentially required to be told in this work. He wanted this point to be made. Adhukku Prasangatana pe. So Swamiji said, na Prasangatha, I wrote this verse. bhUmiyil
pOTTa muLai varuvadAl bhūmikum undIpaRa varuvadAlkillai undIpaRa.
When we actually plant a seed in this earth, seed as a seed shows no sign of life. It has potential life in it. And the Bhoomi, when you put the seed in the Bhoomi, suddenly the potential life of the seed starts actually manifesting itself as a physical life. You see, a tree grows. It shows movement. It is breathing. It is living. And our Swamiji says, life can come only from life, isn't it? If you think the seed is as much a conscious entity or potentially conscious entity, that which manifests a potential consciousness in it into a proper conscious creature can need also to be having life in it. It gives life, so it has life. Bhoomi gives life, na. If something has to give life, it has to have life, na. So our Swamiji says, when you put a seed in the Bhoomi, does that seed not come out as a sapling and a plant and grow? And for something to give life, it has to have life. So Bhoomikum uyir undu, it is living also, you understand. Marupadarku, you can't object it, which means even if you don't agree with me, you can't disagree with me. Be at least neutral. No problem. So he is saying, Didamam idin solala, yuktiki purutam solala. He is saying, Marupadarkilla. You can't deny that. Prasangat. But then the beauty is, even that is not Prasangat. Reason being, Aandavan illamal aharam kidaikalam. In the second verse, Swamiji said, you say, let me at least for the time being assume that what you say is right, which is I'm going to reject it. That's what it means. Suppose you are right, doesn't mean I agree. You see. So our Swamiji says, Aandavan illamal aharam kadaikadu. Without Bhagavan, without Bhagavad Shakti, even food cannot be given to any person. Because when you put the seed in the soil, what effort you took to make the seed into a plant, you tell me. Can you pull a plant out of the seed? So you say nature. Yaar nature? We already said nothing called nature exists independently. Nature is the nature of consciousness. That consciousness is Bhagavan. Andavanuடைய nature. Bhagavan has willed that let this Bhoomi Devi, whom we worship as a Devi, Deviya worship, Bhuma Devi. And that Devi, he has given that power for her to make a seed grow into a plant. Try planting it in Mars. You think you will get it? I don't think so. Why? Everything is made perfect. There is life in this Bhuma Devi, which brings forth life in form of a plant there. And that is why he is saying, Bhoomikum uyirundu. Understand that there is life in Bhoomi. And there are some very interesting Western theories. As I'm always talking Western and logic here, I'm not bringing much of Shastra because the word Vedas will come only from the 6th verse. Adhula endha Shastra Pramana. Idu varaikum ellam buddhi da, yukti. And here there is a principle called a Gaia principle. this Gaia is supposed to be the Greek goddess of earth. And somebody in the United Kingdom proposed that all these living organisms seem to interact with earth and they form a synergy, give and take. Synergy na give and take. And hence they are thriving because they collaborate with earth and form a living system and an ecosystem here. So that the principle says earth should also have some life in it. Because the word life is a very, fuzzy concept. Na? What is life? What is, if a virus is living or non-living? Doubt you see. It's just a strand of protein. It is a strand, it is a dead cell. And still, nobody, though we say germs, na, we include virus also, still it is in the border of life and non-life. Na? It's somewhere in between. It is just having a living protein, that's all. And when nothing happens, powder mari. The principle called Gaia principle, even in the West, and all our satsang people showed me that even Earth is breathing. You see, NASA satellite la breathing la nammala mari iluthu vidala, but there is this preponderance of oxygen more, and half the year there is a preponderance of carbon dioxide more. Between the day and night also there is a preponderance of oxygen and carbon dioxide. What is breathing? When we take in a lot of oxygen and throw out a lot of carbon dioxide, we call it breathing. Na? So here, Earth seems to do that. And it has its own cycle. It is supporting a lot of microorganisms. It is supporting a lot of what we call as phytoplanktons, etc. in the sea. It is having its own system of breathing. And the land, territorial trees have their own system. On the earth, like a mother holding a living child in her womb. So now she has to be living for the child also to live, isn't it? And the madri, we look at the earth itself for that child to grow, and then it comes out as a wonderful little child, a stunning individual. But it is held in the mother's womb, na? Like that, all these things, plants, etc., is nourished by Mother Earth. Without the plants, how can we ever survive? So here he is saying, even when we put a small or weather pota kuda, it comes out as a plant. And so Bhoomi kum uyirundu. Look at Bhoomi as a living thing. Respect it. Otherwise, how will you respect it? That's why in the morning, in our Gopakutiram, what is the point? When we wake up, we look at all our hands, and then we remember the three, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Govindan. And then when we place our feet on the floor, what do we say? Amma, Mother, now I'm stamping on you. I'm going to place my burden on you. And so please forbear that, because there is nowhere else I'm going to live without walking on you, even though you are my mother. And I assure you, this is what it means, that I will make it worthwhile. I will make it worthwhile, that my 100 years won't go in vain. I will do what you would like me to do. I would lead a responsible life. I would lead a life of servitude. I would lead a life of continence. I would lead a life of gratitude. I would lead a life for which you are supporting me with all this, which is moksha. I will find a way to go to moksham by doing the proper sadhana in this janman solidhan. That's how we wake up. Why? Bhoomi ku irund, Bhuma Devi. And we also know when there is too much of disturbance here and there, there are some issues of all these little shaking, it happens, earthquake, she quakes a bit, etc. Our Sanatana Dharma is we look at life everywhere, you see. When we see a little rabbit, we look at it and say, fluffy little thing, and it is running around here and there. It's all living. We never look at it and think, tomorrow's dinner. We ever think like that. Even the crops are living. Even when we cut something, like in our Vedic Kriya, we cut a darba grass, there is a mantra with tremendous sensitive and tremendous fine feelings when we actually cut it. The mantra says, I'm going to cut it. It may be a little painful to you, but please forbear that pain, because I'm going to use you for something which is very high, For a high purpose, I'm going to use you. I'm going to use you to fulfill my obligation towards Devas. We are cutting. Even farming, we used to do that. Our farmers used to first do a puja and with tremendous reverence cut it. And that's why our elders used to say, don't waste even a morsel, because we can't create it and we are consuming it. Make your life worthwhile for every handful of rice which you are eating, because people have sacrificed their lives. What is the crops? They are also living. It has been cut and we are consuming a living plant. And many people asked our Swamiji that even plants are living, so we are consuming it. Our Swamiji said, very true. But then, when you have to anyway live, do the minimum possible damage to the ecosystem. Minimum I have to sustain my body because I have a purpose. Bhagavan has put me in this world for me to attain him. Until I attain him, I have to keep coming back here. For me to sustain this body, I need to eat something. What is the minimum papam I can do to eat? When I actually just take the plants, when I actually cut the plants, yes, I have to cut some plants to get it. Or if I take the fruits of plants, etc., then I'm doing the minimum papam. Garda, normal logic, vegetarianism has it. So here, because we love life, we respect life, and we want to cherish life. And that's the Sanatana Dharma. So here he is saying that when a small seed is dropped into the soil, the seed becomes a lovely plant. And even before Vayu comes inside, it is the earth which completely covers the seed and makes it slowly grow, isn't it? Like a mother giving birth to a child, this Mother Earth gives birth to the varieties of trees, varieties of crops, varieties of herbs, which is serving humankind, and rest of this, all the animals have to depend on that only now. The whole food chain depends on Annam, Annat Purushaha. Where did the Annam come from? Prithvi, from Prithvi, Annam, Annat Purushaha. So that is the greatness of Bhoomi. So he is saying that Bhoomi also has life. And be respectful towards it. You see.